Not really sure if anybody else, maybe you, feel like as you're getting older, you're getting more introverted, maybe more quiet. So I find myself maybe not really venturing out as much as I used to when I was a lot younger. And it mainly ties back into a previous video I made on this channel about how just the general population seems to be getting very stressed. And what I mean by that is the cost of living is going increasingly forever up. People are working multiple jobs more than ever. And I guess it's on everybody's faces when you go outside. Everyone's just feeling it. So it's hard to feel a sense of hope. And lately, just in my adventures, whenever I go out to get something, or I see it, and it scares me because, you know, there is still, I believe, the need for everybody to have a purpose and to feel like what they do matters and that they make a difference, whether that's in their own lives or in the lives of their family or their loved ones. Now, some people take pride in their work. Some people take pride in an art. Sometimes art is their work. But people need purpose. We need a purpose. And while I'm not against AI, I think it does have its uses. Ultimately, if it is taking people's jobs, which it already has and will continue to do that, what are people going to do? So people are not only feeling stressed because everything's going up, it's harder to live, but they also need something to live for and something to give them purpose. That's slowly being eroded away. Do you agree with that? Do you believe that is happening? Because I do. And people aren't friendly. It was only around 10 years ago, maybe less than that, that people still felt like people. Not what they are today. They're still people, but a lot of people that I speak to just don't seem to have happiness or a hope for the future as they once used to. So sometimes I don't blame people for how they feel, or, you know, some of the things that they say about their anger, because ultimately we lived most of our lives with purpose, work, friends, social life, hobbies, etc., etc. And now that's all been eroded. People can't afford things anymore. People have kids, so they need to provide for their kids. And if they feel like they can't provide for their kids, it's going to stress them out. If they feel like they can't provide for their families, their wives, their husbands, eventually something has to give. And I'm not an economist. I'm not a economist. There's someone that knows anything about the economy, but it doesn't look good. And if you speak to the regular people, they will often say the same thing. Everything just seems to be going up. Rent, subscriptions, services, food, insurance, car payments, Everything. Just in general, everything. And at what point does it stop? That's kind of what I'm worrying. Does it ever stop? Is it supposed to stop? These are the questions that sometimes you can't answer. And if you ask me what do I think, I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. I think ultimately, it almost feels like, and I'm not one to really speak out on companies because I understand that they solely exist to make money. I get that. But sometimes in the pursuit of making all the money, you lose what made that company special. Sometimes in the pursuit of a product being continuously increased in price, loses the very customer base it was once designed for. For instance, fast food. Fast food was meant to be cheap and quick. Supposed to be an affordable option, and if you're lucky, delicious and nice. A good experience to eat. And then convenience came along in the form of delivery services, where people now pay a markup on top of the food. They now pay delivery and a service fee, and then often prompted to tip as well. And that's if your food arrives hot, which obviously, let's be honest, most of the time it doesn't. You're very lucky if it does. So, and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all these other companies provide a good service for people who need it. Absolutely. During 2020, I think that they were probably at their peak in terms of the way that their services really helped society. A lot of people stay home. People still want to eat. People still want to have restaurant meals and fast food. And so that's why I feel like sometimes they do have their uses. But it was only about 2 weeks ago that I ordered from Uber Eats. And it was very, very, very expensive. And the food was absolutely terrible. And it's almost like a feeling that you're happy knowing that your food's coming, but at the same time, you know that you are getting basically robbed from, for your money from these services. And that's not also including the wait times, which sometimes can differ from 15 to 50 to over an hour. And yes, you can always go pick up your food yourself, absolutely. But sometimes there are some people out there who don't have that convenience or luxury to be able to go and do that. Everyone's case is different. I can, but I chose not to that night, and I paid for it. Literally, I paid for it, and I paid quite a bit for what I got. And I know that doesn't sound like it really makes a difference in terms of the grand scheme of things, but I feel like during 2020, the business worked really good. Now, it just seems like they're nickel and diming their drivers and their customers and the restaurants that they price up their foods and stuff like that. And that's just food. Like delivery services. What about groceries? Ground beef is becoming more and more expensive. Ground beef was supposed to be the budget option. And the quality's not there anymore. When was the last time you remember you had a good quality meat from a supermarket? If you want good quality meats, you got to go to a butcher, but you most likely will pay a premium for a butcher. And I'm not against paying for good things. If paying for something gets you a good quality thing that you consider like an investment, if, for instance, if this microphone arm that I bought 3 days ago off Amazon, this is an investment in the channel. I want this microphone arm to last as long as the channel does. So I paid for one. I could have quite easily paid for a $30 one, but I paid for this one. But I know that this is a good quality item. In my opinion, it feels sturdy, it's quality. And I'm not against paying for quality items. Sometimes you really do get what you pay for. But these days it's very hard to really see beforehand what you're really getting. And then when you do get it, sometimes you're left disappointed. And that's just food and just items. What about fuel? What about bills? What about cars? What about clothes? It's just in every sort of aspect of everybody's life. So I don't blame people for feeling like there's a constant anxiety about where their money's going, especially in a time where people need to be very, very scarce with where their money goes, because we are in a bit of a crisis. It's just, I don't think it's because it's not on a headline. A lot of people don't think that it's happening. But everybody knows that there's something seriously wrong. And if you're from where I'm from, which is Australia, you feel it. It was only a couple of months ago that we had the fuel crisis where a lot of our service stations, I think if I remember correctly, about 80 of them didn't have any petrol at all. And the ones that did have petrol were extremely expensive, over $3 something a litre. So, and that's just the fuel supply chain. And I've said in a previous video that here we are a very globally connected country, even though we are independent from every other country on earth. We're all connected. And because most of our stuff, in my opinion, feels like it's imported, we are kind of beholden to outside events having an impact on our country. So, for instance, the Middle East, the war that's happening over there, had an effect on everybody. And that's just petrol. What about when it happens to the food? So everything just seems to be very crazy, very chaotic at the moment. And a lot of people are just surviving. I think a lot of people are walking around in just survival mode. I think that's the best way to say it. A lot of people are just in survival mode these days. And some people don't even know it. And the people that do know it know that something is seriously wrong. And that we hope, like everyone is hoping things just get a lot more easier for everybody. But I don't feel confident that it is going to. At the end of the day, we just have to keep going. Just have to keep surviving, keep trying to thrive, doing what we can to get by, cutting back where we can to make necessary payments, adjustments, bills. But something is seriously wrong with the world in 2026. Really. And I hope that things get better. If you feel the same way, let me know in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, leave it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. We are a new channel. And with that being said, take care of yourselves, guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.